In video 61, we used Photoshop's layers to create this matte effect. Now, it can be used to just present images on screen, but as I explained in the previous video, I used it to print with my image for presentation purposes. With this image, we're going to use similar techniques, but here we're going to create a block mount effect. You'll notice some similarities with the video 61, but with some differences. And what I didn't mention before was that some of these techniques that we create in Photoshop layers are a great learning process too. So let's begin as we did before by removing the lock to the right of the thumbnail in layers. And all we're doing here is separating the image from the canvas beneath. But now I'm going to increase the canvas but leave the image its original size, and I can do that by going to the image menu, choosing canvas size. To make it quick and easy, I'm going to change the measurement here to percentage, and generally speaking you may need to tweak this a little bit, but if we put 20% in the width and 30% in the height, most of the time we get a fairly good result. I'll hit Ctrl 0 and we can take a look, and as you can see, I think that's going to be pretty good. Now if you look over to the right hand side into the layers palette, we've got our image sitting on one layer. We're going to need a couple of other layers at least. So what I'm going to do is go down to the bottom of the layers palette and click the little plus sign once and twice. One of these layers is going to form the background, and this time we need it at the bottom of the stack. So if we just click, drag and drop, there it is at the bottom of the stack. What I'll also do, if you look over to the toolbox on the left hand side, you'll notice that white is my background color. So Control Backspace will flood that border with white. Already we've got quite a nice presentation. Now the other blank layer that I created, which is sitting at the top, this one here, I'll double click and I'll call this shadow because this is the layer that I want to create a shadow on to create the block mount effect. So this must sit beneath the image. So let's drag it down there into the rightful position before we make a start. I'm going to hold my Control key and I'm going to click the layer above. Now I've done that because I want to select the image itself. Now you can see the marching ants around the outer edge. Now just for a moment, so I can demonstrate what I'm going to do next, I'm going to turn off that white background and I'm going to hold my Control key and the space bar. You can see the zoom tool appears. I'm going to click a few times because I want to be able to show you this quite close. What I've discovered from practical use is if I just flood the selection I have here with black, we will get a block mount effect when we blur the black layer. But if I make it a few pixels bigger, I've found the effect is just more appealing to my eye. Well, with selections, we can change them once they're made. For example here, I can go to my select menu and I can modify that selection, and I can modify it by expanding it. And this is why I made the image larger. Let's select that. We're asked how many pixels we want to use. This is a high resolution image, so 6 or 7 pixels, but of course that will vary depending on the resolution of your image. But when I click OK, you can see the slight change. It's very minimal, but it's just made my selection square a little bit bigger. Now just for the moment, I'm going to hit Ctrl 0 to fit the image on screen, and I'll turn off the image itself just for a moment because what we've got here is the shadow layer with the selection in place. I need to go over to my color picker on the left hand side because I can see the foreground color is not black, it's grey. But if you want a shortcut, touch the D key and you'll notice that the black and white will return from whatever colours may have been previously selected. So now I can just flood that foreground colour with Alt Backspace and Control D to remove the selection, and I'll turn on the other layers, but I'll remain selected on the shadow layer. Now we can blur that layer and see the effect of the block mount. So if I go to my filters, blur and Gaussian blur, as you can see I've got around 66, 67 pixel radius here, and it doesn't look too bad at all, but we're all going to choose something slightly different. I'll cancel that for a moment because there is one other thing we could do. When we're doing these sorts of changes, what we can do is make this layer into a smart object. Because if we did that, then it does leave that blur effect instantly changeable at any time, as long as we save this as a Photoshop file. Now to do that, we would go to our Layers menu, and somewhere down here we've got a little command that says Convert to a Smart Object. I'm looking for it because I've got mine set to a keystroke, but there it is, look. I generally use F4, but I had to set that one myself. But there it is in the menu. If you look at the layer on the right hand side, now you can see it's got a little symbol that says it's a smart object. So when I go back to my filters, blur and Gaussian blur, I'll add exactly the same amount as before, but because this is a smart object, if I save this and look at the image tomorrow and decide I want a little more or a little less blur, all I've got to do is double click that Gaussian blur name there, and there jumps up the Gaussian blur panel so I can reduce it or increase it as I see fit. Let's push it up a little bit and click OK. What I like about this is sometimes if we're putting an image against a white background, with this block mount effect we can even put a white line around the outer edge, because in this instance we will see the line. But again, the colour of the line is infinitely changeable, and to do that we would select the image. Go down to the effects at the bottom of the page, bring up the stroke command, let's put that in the center. The effect I'm getting here looks pretty good. Let's take a look. We've got the stroke ticked to apply it. We've got the option highlighted here so that the parameters open up. 7 pixels on the inside of my image in white, and it gives us that very delicate line. But of course we've got the opportunity to change that if we feel it's appropriate. I don't think the white line looked too bad at all, so on this occasion I'll leave that in place. And then of course from here we can select that base image which is providing us with the white background, and now we can choose any color we like. We can pick a neutral color, we can pick a color from the image using the eyedropper tool. Now as you can see by that change to the background layer, I've done exactly what I described with the matte effect in applying colour. We can either just pick the colour picker from the bottom of the toolbar and select a neutral colour or any colour we want, or we can clone or sample a colour from within the image. Quite often that gives us quite a harmonious border that seems to work a little better. And if I zoom in on this, you can also see that I've added just a little bit of noise, about 4 or 5 pixels into the border, so it's got a natural look when we see it, and especially when we print it with the image. So here are just 1 or 2 examples that I created in just a few minutes here by just changing 1 or 2 aspects of the layers in the Layers palette. Best to live with this overnight to make sure you've got the right border prior to printing. I'll see you next time.